Welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. I'm Ellie French. Alongside me is Jason Marcus, and we are back with Penn State Sports Night Mock Draft 2.0 this time. And just like with last week when we had the guys do their first round picks, we will not account for trades as well. So what the order is right now for this year's draft is the order you guys are going to see on this mock draft as well. So Jason, let's get started. Let's first talk your top 5 picks.
All right, sounds good. Well, for the very first overall pick, I have Sam Darnold from USC going to the Cleveland Browns. Kind of a no-brainer here. The Browns need a signal caller more than anything. They did just sign Tyrod Taylor from the Bills, but I think will be a nice bridge quarterback there. Sam Darnold's going to be their guy for years to come. At number 2, I have the Giants taking Saquon Barkley. Now, the Giants really control this draft, Ellie. Depending on what they do at number 2, really will have a domino effect on the rest of the draft. But at here, they could take Josh Rosen, but instead, I think they'll take Saquon Barkley. He's a generational talent. He's guaranteed to make an impact from day one, and he will be a key piece for that franchise for years to come. At number 3, I have the New York Jets taking Josh Rosen. Listen, it's no secret the Jets traded up because they're taking a quarterback here, so they're absolutely going to take the best one available. Assuming Sam Darnold goes number 1 to the Browns, it should be a no-brainer here for the Jets to take Rosen at 3. At number 4, this is a really interesting pick because I believe that this could very well be a pick that gets traded out of. But here at Penn State Sports Night, we're not accounting for trades. So instead, we're taking Bradley Chubb at number 4 overall. The Browns will take their quarterback at 1, they'll take a best defensive player available at number 4, and they'll have some centerpieces for years to come. At number 5, I have the Broncos taking Denzel Ward because they just shipped off Aqib Talib. So they're needing a replacement for him at the cornerback position. They have a lot of really good depth there, but they don't have anyone that's going to stand out and be that surefire number 1. So that's where Denzel Ward comes in. He'll come in, be the quick replacement, and they'll be back to where they were as one of the best defenses in the league. That's my top 5. Very well could you have some mix-ups there. You could see a couple people in the 6th through 10th spot. Any of those guys really could find a way to make themselves into the top 5, depending on what these general managers are really looking for here, especially at number 6 with Quentin Nelson. He's the best offensive lineman in this draft. Some experts are saying he's the best lineman prospect in years. So I very well could see him falling into the top 5 depending on what the Browns do at number 4 or even the Broncos at number 5.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Jason, you could see Quentin Nelson maybe fall into that top 5 spot. Who are some other players maybe, out of picks 1 through 16, maybe in the second half that you might even see slide in that top 5 as well, or these other folks that are out of the top 5?
Yeah, so at number 8 specifically here with Minkah Fitzpatrick, I have him going to the Bears, but I very well could see the Broncos taking him at 5. It really depends on what they're looking for here. Denzel Ward is more of a straightforward cornerback, whereas Minkah Fitzpatrick is more than likely going to play safety, but could also play like in the slot if they really need him to. So if they like Fitzpatrick's versatility, they might very well take him at number 5 as well, or even the Browns could take him at 4. But between Nelson and Fitzpatrick, I think those are the two most likely, not currently in my top 5, to find their way into the top 5. If not Fitzpatrick, Derwin James, arguably the also best safety in the draft. It's really toss-up between him and Fitzpatrick. He could find a way in there too. But like I said, any one of those guys from like 6 through 10, even 6 through 11, really could find their way into the top 5.
And then what about in that second half of your picks? Do you see any guys maybe even making their way up a bit as well?
Yeah, absolutely here. Rashaan Evans, some people have him downgraded lower. I actually think he's one of the better linebacker prospects in the entire draft. So again, depending on what these general managers see, I very well could. It's possible that one of them goes, hey, that's our guy, that's who we want over Roquan Smith or Tremaine Edmonds. Unlikely, but it is possible. Also in there, you got Harold Landry at 23. Some people are considering him the second best pass rusher in the draft behind Bradley Chubb. So he very well could be higher than the 23 here, but he's definitely going to go in the first round, I think.
And then just taking a look at your picks and thinking back to last week's mock draft, some of the guys in last week's draft had former Heisman winner Lamar Jackson in their picks. Taking a look at yours, you don't have him at all.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with the very beginning of this draft. We all know it's going to be very quarterback heavy. So that's going to really, and like I said earlier, the Giants, what they do it too, it's going to have a domino effect on the entire board. When I first started doing some of these mock drafts, I actually originally had him going 29th overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars. But believe it or not, the recent Patriots-Rams trade had more of a domino effect than you would think. And because of that, he actually ended up falling out of my first round, and I had the Jaguars taking a wide receiver receiver instead. So it's not impossible. He very well could still go to Jacksonville or even a team like New Orleans who has Drew Brees. They are obviously the starter, but for how much longer is the question. He could easily go to, or even Pittsburgh. There's so many teams that he could go to, but with the amount of depth that's in this draft, especially on the defensive side of the ball, it would be hard-pressed to not take a, for sure, defensive starter over a quarterback who is essentially a developmental prospect.
And it's interesting to think about Lamar Jackson. It seems like everywhere I'm reading and talking with people, it's like his stock only seems to be falling.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson, I think it's the result of a deep quarterback class because there's at least 4 to 5 quarterbacks who are for sure going to get drafted higher than him. I think if it was any other draft class, there would be absolutely no question about it. Lamar Jackson would be a first-round draft pick. I think he's just the victim of circumstances. He's coming in, he won the Heisman, and that's great, and he's still a good player, but you've got 5 other quarterbacks who just so happen to be better than him or more pro-ready at this point. So it's unfortunate, but it's the way it goes, right?
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen.
Nope.
And to hit you with one final question, Jason, thinking back to last year's draft, that number 4 pick for the Jaguars, they take a guy named Leonard Fournette.
Yes, they did.
He does amazing things for them in the season, rushes for over 1,000 yards, helps to take the team to the AFC Championship game.
Yep.
You think about where they're at now with that 29 pick and how he helped to get them there. Who is going to be that guy in this year's draft that's going to be that Leonard Fournette and be that impact player for a team?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, that's a lot to ask because Leonard Fournette, like you said, he did great things. Now, the easy pick would be to say, like, they take a quarterback like a Sam Darnold or a Josh Rosen, and he just goes in and, they all of a sudden go to the playoffs. But I'm actually going to go say something different. I'm going to go actually on the defensive side of the ball, and I'm going to say Bradley Chubb. I think he's the best pure pass rusher in this draft. And in the NFL, experts, analysts, GMs, no matter who you are, they all say outside of quarterback, the most important position is a pass rusher. If you can get that, then you can find a way to really build your defense around him, and he could be that key factor for whoever drafts him to take him to the next level.
Absolutely. Bradley Chubb has been really turning heads for people, did a lot of great work out at the Combine, so definitely can see him being that impact player for whatever team he does end up with. So, Jason, we'll see how your picks match up come draft day, and guys, make sure you tune into next week's show to catch Mock Draft 3.0. You guys definitely don't want to miss out on that. And now we're going to send it back to Christian Korapakis and Chris Keating to close out this week's show.